to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen. With me on the show today, Debbie G and Neo Positivity. This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today.
And we're so happy that it's Friday. Happy TGIF to everybody out there listening in and tuning in. We're so glad you were able to join us today. And I am glad to be coming to the end of a very busy week. I'm going to actually get to relax and enjoy Neo Positivity Summit tomorrow. Tomorrow, Saturday the 19th. It's going to be a good thing. Got to be there for that. And we're going to be hearing more about that in a few moments here. Also, I'm going to be pushing a little bit about TYA Bootcamp, because that's been the news of the week that I signed on with the TYA Bootcamp, and we've got visitors coming up Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, including David Strickle coming on Wednesday to do the Stream of David. So it's going to be a lot of good stuff. But gotta say hello to my co-host. How you doing, Neil? You're looking really good. You're looking very relaxed. As your thoughts become things t-shirt just rings out the message as usual.
Like Superman. I open up the chest and this is all you see. Thoughts become.
That's it.
That's it.
I love it.
Life is good. Thanks for having me on.
Glad to have you. And Debbie, as usual, is on the road. This is like the leading traveling lady in the world right now, and she's living up to her motto. So, where are you? You're back in Colorado today. Is that right?
I've been in Colorado for a few days now. I just arrived in Crestone about 20 minutes ago.
Wow.
Logged into the computer to pop on here, and it's been an amazing week. And I have a new toy, which is really awesome. I don't want to talk about this, y'all. So I'm super grateful to be here. The energy in Crestone, Colorado is just absolutely unbelievable. And Puggy says hi.
Hello, Puggy.
Puggy.
There he is.
I love my Puggy.
He looks like he's having a good time there.
So Puggy really missed me while I was gone, and he missed me more than my son, who is also here right now. I swear, Puggy just is like, she came back. I came back. I love you, Puggy.
But that's the beautiful thing about pets. Pets are like, they are the total ultimate. What's the word? Unconditional love. They're the ultimate unconditional love machine. I mean, it doesn't matter how long you've been away. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 5 years, and you show up, it's like, yay, she's back again. I mean, that's the way pets are. What dogs especially are just wonderful that way. And it looks like he's living up to his. He's hitting the bar that other dogs said. That's a good thing.
The reciprocation. You see him in heaven right now.
Right. Yeah, look at that guy. He's just relaxed. Oh. He's so happy. So happy. So anyway, let's touch on the summit that's happening tomorrow, because Neil works pretty hard on these things, and they're really cool events. If you haven't been to one of Neil's summits, I mean, they're like rapid fire. You get a whole bunch of speakers who really know what they're talking about coming at you 5 minutes at a clip, and then there's all this cool stuff that he does in between. But I'm kind of ruining it, so why don't you tell it how it actually is, Neil? Okay.
You're actually doing a pretty good job at it. Walt's been to a few. Debbie's been to a few. They're going to come back and bless us with their presence again. But yeah, like he said, just picture this room like this with a couple more speakers and audience asking questions just like this. Like you said it before, this is like a miniature summit in every episode. That's why I said I don't see how you do this every day, because putting this on month to month is daunting. And there's a lot of tasks. There's a lot of moving parts. I'm up to 8 staff members now working on this. And just, it's cool. It's cool to be the captain and just watch all the working pieces, manifest things just going into place. So this time around, last time I went to a dental convention and ended up pulling all this leading dentists around the country, and this time last week week before, I went to a crypto convention that the guy who created Podfest, Chris Kremitzos, invited me there, and I just showed up, and just, you guys know how it is. You walk in a room full of 1,000 people, and 8 people just stand out to you, and by the end of the conference, it's you and them 8 in the corner talking about the law of attraction. And they're going to be the speakers at this week's event tomorrow.
All right.
19th from noon to 4 Eastern time, and we're gonna rock out. Like I said, Walt's gonna be on at 1:20. Debbie's gonna be on at 2 o'clock. We're gonna have panels. We're gonna have speed questions where I just ask a question. You got 60 seconds to answer it. I got some good juicy questions. A lot of great details. Guy Ron Lacker's on there. He built his company up and sold it for $1.5 billion.
Ooh.
That all started with him writing on a napkin in a restaurant, and he's big on Think and Grow Rich. And so a lot of good stuff coming from a lot of good sources once again. And I can't wait to put it on. The other ones, I was like, I need a couple more days. I always need a couple more days. This one, 2 days ago, I was ready to go. I was like, I can't wait. Like, I just want to do this right now. Hit record. Let's go. And so, yeah, things are happening. Things are moving. All the numbers are increasing. And the world is starting to get it. The world is finally starting to get it because I finally started to see the world getting it. It was a total shift in my mentality, and it has awakened a beast, especially in the last 3 weeks. It's just been a crazy journey.
I got to ask one question. The billionaire who's going to be on, who started his business on a napkin, did he keep the napkin?
I hope so. I didn't ask him that.
I hope so too.
Ron Laker is his name. You'll see him there tomorrow. If you remember, if I remember, or Debbie, if you remember, please ask me, because that's like my feather, which was my moment when I manifested that feather. I still have it. So stuff like that we usually keep around. He probably still has it. He's like
probably does.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you have a story that cool, how can you throw out the napkin, right?
I mean, unless you lost it 3 days, a week later.
Possibly, yeah. Yeah, but I mean, on the other hand, he developed a $1.5 billion business out of it. I suspect that napkin hung around for a bit.
I hope it did.
I think so.
Yeah, I want a picture hanging up on my wall. But yeah, he's got some great techniques. He took these 6 steps from Napoleon Hill and kind of made it into his own. Mm-hmm. And obviously it's worked for him. So, yeah. I
haven't seen it yet. Have either of you seen the movie?
No.
Yeah, the Think and Grow Rich
Which
movie
one?
That's out.
No, well, I haven't yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. It looks good. I saw the trailer. It looked really interesting.
Now, that's not the one with Katie Holmes, right? Katie Holmes did like a Law of Attraction.
No, that's The Secret Dare to Dream.
Is that now?
That's based on the movie The Secret, but they made a fictional movie out of it.
Okay, okay. I gotta see it.
That's good. I mean, it depends on who you talk to. Alex King was bored halfway through, so she turned it off. But I thought it was okay. I thought that the greatest strength of it is that it's the first movie I've seen in the 21st century where they actually try to take the law of attraction and turn it into a fictional story. That in and of itself is a major step forward. I can think of one or two from the 20th century, but this is the first one in the 21st century. So I would say the bar is set a little bit low, but that's good. Okay, so like the next one that comes along, okay, this is what you got to be. You got to be what the Secret Dare to Dream did the last time. So
So basically, what you're saying is, after I become a director, I won't have that much of a milestone to pass. They've already set the ground foundation for me. I could just make a great movie.
Well, hey, anyone who puts out a movie and actually does it successfully so that it actually comes out, as far as I'm concerned, that's a major enterprise. I mean, you're going on about how hard it is to run a podcast. Let me tell you, creating a movie, yeah, different level entirely.
James Cameron style, baby.
I love that. I love you. I love that you guys are talking about this. I'm looking at my internet, and is it choppy?
A little, choppy? Not too bad. Not
kind
too
of
bad.
Bruce Lee-ish.
Okay. So
we pick that up.
I'm serious, right? Like, that was really good, I tell you. I'm glad it's recorded because I don't know if I could redo that magic right now. So, all right, guys, listen. I'm glad that you're talking. I'm really thrilled that you are bringing up directors, because we have a big, exciting thing happening with Spirituality Gone Wild. We are working with Zappy Zappalin, who not only did the Reality of Truth, but I'm so excited, but also Reborn, the Lamar Odom story about his recovery from PTSD. And yes, I said recovery. Not saying that everybody's going to experience what he experienced, but I can tell you that the movie is something you want to watch. And you also want to watch for what we're going to have coming up. And of course, Walt and Neo will be part of this. And this is we're going to start out online, but we have a tour that's happening also in person. Online, what we're going to be doing is doing a lot of teachings about PTSD and how different plant-based medicines can help you. We're also looking to get the petition signed for the mindarmy.org, the mindarmy.org. Now, I also want to mention to keep in mind that though we're talking about something like plant-based medicine, that practices, because both of you, what I heard you talking about and what we're going to discover tomorrow with Neo Positivity Summit and with Walt and myself and everybody else are practices. What kind of rituals and practices do we have in place? And so one of the things I'm super excited about with our event is that we're able to bring practices in as well as education about some alternative methods that have been proven to help the suicide rate, to help depression radically, and also addiction. Well, this is a breakthrough in the recovery and addiction industry, and I am absolutely thrilled right now to just even be present, to talk about it, to be able to share this with you all. This is an extraordinary time that we are in right now, and if you want to talk about the LOA, baby, this is true awesomeness. And we have Melissa Marie on right now, and Melissa, I was just telling them all Zappy and the exciting things that we've got coming. You guys, there are answers out there that we never even imagined are possible. So one of the things about Thoughts Become Things is looking at that sheer question of what else is possible, and the big what if. What if there is something else that you can do to further your growth in your life and make this human thing just a little bit easier? Because let's face it, sometimes, I mean, hello, sometimes it's a thing. Anybody ever experienced life where you just go, oh my God, sometimes I just, this is
Day
about,
by day.
yeah, but when you have severe PTSD, what I do know is that sometimes, no matter how many different methods you've tried, there's still that thing that's there that you can't seem to get past. And what I'm excited about is if y'all watch The Reality of Truth and you watch Reborn, that you're going to see that there's another option out there. And don't forget to sign the petition, themindarmy.org. Very important stuff right now. We're rocking like rock stars. Hello.
You said thevinearmy.org?
The mindarmy.org. Yeah. Yep.
I think I made it in the comments.
Got to find that link, so that's good. Absolutely, and I'm glad you brought those up too, because first of all, it fits the theme of movies, and movies are a big deal. I mean, we're going to see a lot more of them, I would say, in a very short period of time. I wouldn't be surprised if, say, 5 years from now, just to pick a time, I'll bet you there's such a catalog out there of stuff, of movies in the general genre that we talk about here. We're going to be blown away by it, but that's 5 years down the road. Right now, it's like, really? Could we really have that many? Well, yeah, they're going to be there, and they're going to be, every one of them is going to be major impact. So it's going to be cool. I like the point you also made too, Debbie, about how, we have stuff coming along that we can't even imagine, and the stuff that we can't even imagine, somebody's imagining. I mean, that's the Think and Grow Rich idea, right? Somebody somewhere is imagining it, and the rest are going, whoa.
Totally.
Yeah.
I would like to circle back to the whole,
right.
I'd like to circle back to the whole PTSD thing, because I learned recently that there's so many more people suffering from PTSD than we think. Most people hear that and they think about war veterans, and
which is true, but still.
Yeah, but I was posed with
true. However,
someone asked me a couple months ago about people in the hood having PTSD. And they gave me the rundown of all of the things that the average 16-year-old, 15, 14-year-old has experienced in their life. And they're just forced to deal with it and say, well, that was just life. Whereas other people go through that and they go through treatment, and they still, a lot of people who go through treatment and stuff still don't get 100% better. So imagine a city full of people that are all struggling with this,
no doubt.
So, and you could take it a step further. You got all kind of people. Almost every female I've met these days, I don't know what the hell was going on in a generation above mine, but almost every female I've met these days has been touched by an uncle or cousin that shouldn't have been doing it. And so that's a form, that's PTSD. And there's all kind of different stuff going on. And I think we need to acknowledge it, and it needs to be addressed on a larger scale. More people need to be receiving treatment for it. I think so. And there's a form of PTSD from how you were.
I love you.
Raised. The mindset that you were raised with, it might have been great, but there's certain parts of it that left a little chip on your shoulder that you don't even know is there, that's been affecting you your whole life. That's another form of it's a lighter form, obviously, than the other ones, but it sticks with you forever. It determines how you think, which determines what's going to happen to you next. And it all just needs to be addressed and worked on, not completely cured. I wish we could, but worked on to the point of, where it's kind of like cured. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll tell you what, I talk about dreaming big. This is one way I dream big, and I've been dreaming big this way for a long time. I imagined that the day comes, and I don't really know how this happens, but the day comes where my dream for LOA today is that we get to the point where we have a large enough audience where we can actually start feeding people into a program, like, for instance, the TYA Bootcamp, which I'm going to be joining up with next week. That's just one example of it. And feeding people in who don't necessarily have the means to do it. And I've actually been thinking over the years of various ways to make that happen. I actually have a plan in mind of how I'm going to get that to happen once my abundance has gotten to the point that I feel like I can really kick in a big way there. I mean, I just imagine what happens if you get this whole set of concepts and beliefs and understandings about how life really works out there into the hands of the masses in ways that other people can't even begin to dream of. I mean, I have exciting dreams at night, let me tell you. Dreams that just make me chilled with the goosebumps.
By the way, I don't know what time zone you're in, Walt, but your midnight sky is amazing.
Seriously, dude. I want to just jump in here and love on you both right now and tell you how much I appreciate both of you. The beautiful input and that you're bringing to this really super special subject. I moved my computer here just for a second because I wasn't getting good reception. I want to touch on a couple of things. One, without your dark, you wouldn't know your spark. And yeah, we do have a lot of women out there in my age group that have experienced trauma when they were a child. And sexual trauma is one, but there's also many other traumas, just like you brought up. Back when I was growing up, the Freud system was just being put in place. Erik Erikson was just coming in with teaching and expanding on that. That's the ID, the ego, and the super ego being our conscious. Of course, the ID that's formed within the first 1 to 2 years, and then we have our ego, which is what is our protection. One of the things I know is PTSD is a friend to everybody who's experiencing it. It's not something wrong. There's not something wrong or bad with. It's not coming out. Here's what I know. It's your friend, and the reason it's your friend is because it's been keeping you safe and protected all this time. What I do know is if you don't like the outcome of how that you're protecting yourself and how that you're creating safety in your life, that there might be other options. I want to touch on the fact that you brought up the recovery industry that has a 90% failure rate, and let y'all know that just simply means it's time for a change. Like evolution, we all see these changes happening based upon the times, and now we're in a time where it's a time for us to truly step into our power by stepping into our self-love and breaking the cycles and the patterns of the old behavior that we were taught, the old operating system that just doesn't work anymore. And it's real. I mean, when it stops working, it stops working. I don't know about y'all, but if you ever had an old computer and then you bought a new one and you tried to run the old programs that you had in there, you might most likely had to upgrade. Well, we are the same way. And the one great thing about plant-based medicine, some of them, is that what is it providing? A reboot for the brain, a reboot and a place, it basically is a defrag, if you shall, for your brain. So, yeah.
Is plant-based the equivalent of psychedelic?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
You got it. We're talking about 5-DMHT, DMT, iboga, ayahuasca, and psilocybin. Psilocybin right now is one of the most, of course, in cannabis. One of the most interesting studies that's happening right now is with psilocybin because they're doing scientific research right now, clinical studies, and it is showing successful recovery rates for people who are suicidal and have nothing else to help. Manic depressiveness, all of this. You guys, I see light at the end of the tunnel. We've got our veterans who have extreme PTSD, and one of the exciting things I've personally experienced is being with these gentlemen and actually seeing the effects of what we're calling plant-based medicine has done. If you want more information, you go over to Reborn. Lamar Odom, Google it, or go to Reborn online and watch the movie, or simply do your own research. Check into how that psilocybin is helping manic depressiveness. And you know what I'm excited about too? That it's not just masking a symptom, if y'all feel what I mean.
That's always a good thing, getting at the root of something.
As a person who's been down one of those rabbit holes before, one of those beautiful rabbit holes you just mentioned.
Yep. They are pretty, aren't they?
It is not painted over rust at all. There is a point where if you don't stay with it, you might fall behind. It is like jogging. You know, if you become a jogging master and you just stop jogging, then obviously you're not going to be good at it anymore. It's something you have to work out, but so is the law of attraction. So is us as people, being a better person, keeping your head up. All that requires, each moment requires its individual energy and respect. If you respect it instead of being on autopilot and just letting your mind run and run and run all day, and you hate life and all this other stuff. But anyway, back to what I was saying. These methods that she's talking about, people might hear them, oh, it's hippie stuff, whatever you guys think. They're not painted over rust. That's what you got to understand. They are not painted over rust. These are solutions. And, you know, even if Lamar Odom was to relapse or something like that, and everybody's going to, of course, blame it on the stuff, that's not it. That has to do with what's going on up here. People got to realize that. But don't just shoot these things down because you never heard the word or you can't pronounce it. There are other alternatives out there. And for everybody listening who's doing something to improve their lifestyle, right? I'll just say this. How's that been working out for you?
How's it working?
Has it been working? Should you try something else? The only thing different, the only thing constant is change. Stick with that.
I love that, though. It is the only thing that's constant. And, you know, well, actually, I'm going to be quiet for a minute. What pop in here because I know you got something.
I love when you guys get going. Are you kidding? This is how I get my jollies, watching you guys build up the energy. It's a wonderful thing.
Oh, I'm really glad we've established how to give Walt jollies. Y'all know that now. Okay.
There it is. All we got to do is talk.
Hey, what could I say? I like
Spark
laughing.
That G vibe. I don't even know what to say. Gratitude vibration.
Okay. Well,
right. Hey, raise that vibration, man. Seriously. Well, I'm loving all this. This is some sexy conversation because here's the deal. It's like what we're talking about doing is getting to the root of the cause of the reason that all this stuff happened. And what this helps, it's like, you know, as you'll see when you watch The Reality of Truth, when you do some of these things, they say it's like 25 years of psychotherapy in one shot. I'm not telling anybody that this is easy. I'm not also telling anybody that it's for you. There's also conscious recovery out there. Conscious recovery with TJ Woodward gets down to the root of breaking the pattern of shame, of shaming, and the pattern, all of those things that create the environment of you needing to protect yourself. You know, I had actually said to somebody, because I've been all kinds of rabbit holes, thanking every one of those for providing me the friendship I needed. If I used to smoke cigarettes, and I used to thank them. Thank you for being my friend. I'm done with you now. You can go away. Seriously, like I love you for being there for me when I needed you to be there for me. What I can tell you all is that I have a shift of perspective. I'm still the same person. I didn't need to change. But what's going on up here is a thing. And the thoughts become that your thoughts are so powerful. And when you are able to start shifting how you even look at something as smoking. Everybody tells you it's bad, you shouldn't do that. And okay, it's not great for you. We all know that. Yada, 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 yada. We heard that. But has anybody ever been shamed into quitting? I'm just curious.
I don't think
And
it has a very good track record. I can
no,
say that much.
no. And part of the things that happen in traditional recoveries, there's still shaming happening.
Mhm.
Oh, look what you did. You destroyed everybody's life. Yeah, there's no accountability for the codependent one who's been the enabler all along or any of this other stuff. Nobody wants to own their shit. All right. Everybody wants to point and blame on the person who had the issue. Nobody
Well,
wants to look back.
that's one of the advantages of what we talk about here on this show and what we talk about in general in
Yeah.
conscious creator circles, as I like to call it, because we understand the only way that you ever actually get change is when you do it in the high vibe space. Well, let's put it this way. You get change in every space. The only way you get the change you want is in the high vibe space. You can get change in the low vibe space.
Totally.
It's just not the change you want. It's a change that actually often is the opposite of what you want. And that's what they haven't quite figured out yet. They're getting there. There's so much data coming to them that some of them are beginning to wake up and say, you know what, we got to modify this in some way. This isn't quite working. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but it's not quite working. And they're beginning to get the gist of it.
Yeah.
It's taking a while, but they're getting there. And I take a lot of heart from that. I take a lot of hope from it.
You know what? I think
love
society needs to grow the hell up a little bit in certain categories. I'm from the hood, so I know people that have relapsed and ended up back on the street. You know, they call them crackheads up north. I don't know if you guys call them where you're from.
Same thing.
As soon as something goes missing, you know, they're doing good for 3 years. As soon as anything bad happens, they just they assume that person went back to their old ways.
Yeah.
You know, a cousin of mine, you know, who's been back and forth on that, but and every time he disappears, everybody assumes that's what happened. And it's like, he knows that you're assuming that. Like, what are you doing to his mind? What are you doing to his mindset? I always say, like, the same thing with domestic. You can be in China arguing with your spouse in America. Your kids who can be at their cousin Billy's house at a sleepover can still feel those energy waves.
Oh, yeah.
They don't know what's hitting them, but it is affecting them. It's the same thing. All the doubt for that person that's going through that. Now they relapse a bunch of times. I understand they got a track record, and I got you, but there's got to be a point where you're like, all right, let me just water a different seed for this person.
And you guys know the old cliche about the word assume, right?
Make an ass out of you and me.
That's the one.
And every time somebody does the assume with me, you know what? I look at them and I say, would you please go read the 4 agreements right now? I'm serious. It's a thing. It's a thing. Go read the 4 agreements. If you're taking it personal still and you're still assuming, then you need to go read a book. Because I'm not. Just go read the book. Seriously, just please, your God. Like,
I love it.
Well, you know, I got to tell you that I feel like there's such a waste of time with. Look, it's assuming is such a waste of time. All of it's such a waste of time. How many precious moments have we wasted? How many precious moments? And not only that, I want to talk about what Neo said. Imagine if you treat an addict with respect. Imagine if the smile and the respect you give the addict is what they needed in order to make a different choice. What if you gave them hope? So that's what I got to say about that.
Well, that's another conscious creator concept.
And I want to try to.
It's another concept.
Well, it's a way of being.
Well, it is, but it's also the basic concept of if you hold somebody in your mind's eye in the light of what you want them to be and what's the best possible outcome for them, you're doing exactly what you talked about with those kids who are, stuck at home and not sure why they're getting this bad vibe, but you're doing it the opposite way. Instead of sending the wrong vibe, you're sending a very positive vibe to them in a way that they don't even understand what's going on, but all of a sudden they're feeling better.
You know what? I always tell people I spent the last 13 years trying to find a way to save the world. And the law of attraction is the best plan. Matter of fact, it's the only one that has even a chance of working. And it has a great chance of working once we get everybody to know about it and believe in it. But I think in applying this with it, I wrote down, believe in your power to change things. For the average person that doesn't really believe in the law of attraction, and they look at their family member or whoever and think something negative, if they knew that they were contributing towards that person's future, they would shift. I'll give you a perfect example. My son has always been, trouble in school, just like me growing up. So when he was in those trouble situations, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what is going on? I thought about it once, and I said, well, in the spirit of manifesting, every time someone asks how my son's doing, I always say, man, this boy, you won't believe what he did. And then there it is. And so I had to make a shift. Mm-hmm. I said, you know what? I'm not going to tell him that it's my fault, but I'm going to say that it's my fault. I've been watering the seed. I'm a great manifester, and I manifested this. So I went back and opened up some old emails from his teacher, some good emails with the good things he was doing. And I marinated in it. I act like I had just got it that day. I felt good about it. And every single time I did that, I forget to do it often, but every single time I did that, things turned around for him. Yes. And with that knowledge of my power, I tread lightly when I'm thinking about that situation, because I know what seeds I'm watering. Give everyone that knowledge of their power, and they will be more careful how they wield that wand that Debbie was just swinging around. That's a physical wand, but we all have a wand that's constantly.
I love my wand.
We all have a wand that's constantly spewing from our lips every time we speak, and it's constantly spewing from our mind and our hearts every time we think, which is all day, every day. So,
and I love what you just did too. You didn't necessarily know that you were doing it, but you were doing something that was tied in directly to what Jackie Gates, who's one of the newest co-hosts here on the show on Wednesday, was talking about. She has this thing that she calls her file of fabulousness. And what that is, it's a collection of everything that people have said about her over the years. And every time they say something that's nice about her, she grabs it and plugs it into the file. So that when she finds herself in that place we often find ourselves, where we're feeling down, where we can't easily climb out, we can't even remember where the good stuff is, she pulls out her file and starts reading it to herself. And she keeps reading it and saying it out loud until she finally climbs her way back up into the higher vibe space. Well, you took the same concept, and you didn't do it just for yourself. You did it for your son. You did it for your kid. So you did it for somebody else.
Yeah.
You took it to the next level, and I'm loving that, because it's going to be equally effective doing exactly that. In fact, the more that we build ourselves up, the more that we work on ourselves, the more we're actually working on somebody else.
Boom.
Yeah.
Boom. Get everybody on that page. The world changes.
And how I love you, because you just showed how that's done. You start right with you.
Yeah.
That's it. You start with you. And the ripple effect, we have this ripple effect that goes out amongst all of us. That one thing you do for that one person is just ripples out into the universe, because you see, you do that with your son, and the people that he interacts with, they get the same vibration. Speaking of vibration, I want to talk more about this, and I want to talk about TYA Bootcamp, and I want to talk about another solution out there for y'all if you're looking for it, because it's really important. But Neil, what you're doing with your son is perfect, because that is, to me, that level of acknowledgement is so much greater than, just, oh, I'm proud of you, or their need for acceptance, or their need for to be validated. Rather, you're acknowledging, and you're showing understanding. I mean, it's beautiful. You're showing love. You're showing acceptance of your son. You're showing appreciation. So all those things come into play, which then in turn make us feel us heard, seen, loved. I mean, all of those things. That's how that it's created. If you all want to change the world, you start treating people in this way. It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. When you start treating people the right way, and it's at the forefront of your mindfulness, it's a lifestyle. It's not just one thing you do every once in a while. It is every day until it becomes a habit. And
I agree.
Totally. And this is what the law of attraction is about. Because if you are stepping forward with no agenda, no anything but to give joy to another human being, you are creating joy in your life. And in that point, right there in that second, you are the most abundant person there ever was.
No doubt about that. Absolutely.
So
In fact, I'll take that to the next step, because to me, the best way that I can help somebody else is by building myself up. The more work that I do on myself, the more that I do to raise myself to a higher vibration, the more that I help people. I don't even see it when it's happening. And the best evidence I have for that is doing the show. I have learned that one concept more than anything else from doing the show over the last almost 9 years now. And it's just amazing to me how it comes back. It keeps coming back over and over and over again. How I touched on this person's life and I helped that person's life and so forth. And all I was doing was building myself up. I was building my own vibration, and
yeah.
basically sharing it with the world as I was doing it. And oh my goodness. So yeah, it definitely works. It definitely pays off, and it has that endless vibrational flow, that endless wave that you were talking about, Debbie. That it just keeps going and going. And the more we focus on it, of course, the more it builds. That's the other key piece. The momentum of it grows over time. And then when more people start focusing on that same way, then the different wavelengths, they kind of work together. They actually become harmonious. They become synchronous. It's like if you have two tuning forks in a room, they're both set to the same pitch. You click one of them and the other one starts vibrating at the same pitch. It's that same concept. It keeps working more and more and more and more. So my God, there's nothing more powerful than working on yourself, because look what it leads to. It's so exciting.
Magic.
You know, if you want to change anything about the world around you, you always start in here. You always start here. So many people start out there with all these, and then they don't get the chance to make change. This is a huge thing, and I think this is the shift that would change the world. Most people would take the steps that I took with my son. They would think to take those steps if they believe that they had power over the outcome.
Right.
Everybody thinks that life is a crapshoot, and you don't know what's going to happen today, and and you can't. And it's proven to be difficult to show people that thoughts become things, because they look at the bad stuff that's happened to them. They're like, I didn't manifest that. But convince people that they have the power to make change with their thoughts, and they'll come up with stuff like I did for the emails. That's what's going to change the world. Teach them that they have the power. Show them that they have the power, and they'll wield it themselves.
Absolutely, no doubt about it.
Well, y'all. And I just love this. What do you mean I manifested that? That's the hardest part for people to. Well, because look, as long as your old story's working for you, you're gonna keep telling it. All right. Yeah. When it stops working for you, you're gonna change your story. Simple as that. If being in your victim is what's working for you, because if you're not in bliss and joy, you're probably complaining and whining about something, and you're down your spiral, and that's okay too. But when it doesn't work anymore, when the old story of just doesn't work, you can get the power to change it. And Neo, you love what you're saying here. You have the power to change it. Now, you created it. I didn't create that person to walk in my life and do this. Oh yes, you said yes from the get. You know you saw those flags. Don't lie to yourself, because I've been there, done that. I don't even want to hear it. You just own it. You own it. You own being in your codependent state. I'm going to love him enough, and he's going to change. And now I don't know why he's been abused. Hello. It is about stopping the cycle and the pattern of crazy. Of stepping in, because we create crazy when we're in that space, man.
Two types of people I've had a lot of trouble. I've had the most trouble, let's say they've been the most challenging people to speak with. It's about the law of attraction, is battered women and veterans. Mm-hmm. Now, you guys can probably see why, but I had to ask this lady once. I said, what's your primary thought throughout the day? Pardon my French, but she said, him whipping my ass when I get home. Oof. And I said, how often do you think about that? She was like, how can I think about anything else? And I just had to let her sit in that. I had to let her sit in that for a little bit. 60 to 70,000 thoughts on average per day per person. How many thought drops are you putting into that flower pot? When there's a plant there, you can't be surprised that there's a plant there. You water the seed, nourish it, it'll grow. And I hate to be blunt and put it like that, but you got to. Yeah. As far as the whole veterans thing, that's a whole nother subject. Those are two tough cookies to crack when it comes to this.
Well, I've been not the veteran, but the other. And So I have a lot of compassion and empathy for this because I've been there. What I can tell you is that if anybody is there, if anybody is there and you aren't safe, you get out. What do? You get help. There's shelters, there's things like that. There's hotlines you can call. But the reason that women stay is because they have battered women syndrome. They've got this syndrome. If I didn't do that, he wouldn't have done this. They've been taught these behaviors. There's a lot of reasons. There's a whole lot, you guys. But what it really comes down to is the simple question: are you ready to actually change it? Because when you're ready to change it, you will. It's that simple. The person who's doing it, they're going to keep doing what they're doing because that was established long ago when you saw the red flags and your ass walked into it again. Period. Now you get to choose to walk back out. Well, yeah, but it's hard. And well, which is harder? See, it's preference, choice. What is it that you're doing? And how can you change it? This is where TYA Bootcamp, quite frankly, could save someone's life in this condition, because they teach us how to detune the transgressors in the first place. And there are situations that we get into that are really tough. And it takes a lot to own the fact that we can't just sit and blame it on the person who's doing the thing that we don't like, and that we are part of the creation of that. But it's what's real. I've been there, done this, and I'm going to tell you, until I got real, got stepped out of my victim syndrome, I lost my need for my special hemorrhoidal pad to sit my butthurt ass down on because I was feeling sorry for myself. I tell you, I'm serious. Some tissues for my issues. Well, you know what he did now. Look, if there's some severe violence out there, I'm talking about not so severe, just so redonkulous, so drama, so not necessary. There's such a different way to do life. There's such a different way to do relationship and connection. And there's so many other tools and alternatives out there that you can choose and step forward in. I'm going to just make a comment out to Ellie. Ellie, I love you. She's killing me right now. She's like, and that's why, girl, I could teach how to be single. I'm not even telling y'all anything about a relationship. I could teach. We're going to how to be single in your aloneness. It's a whole other show. We'll talk about it next week.
Sounds like a good thing. I want to ask you guys something about, because what we're talking about here is very similar to the topic we talked about yesterday. Now, we went in a different direction with the topic, but I think it applies today. So I want to get your take on it. Yesterday's show was entitled "The Lies That People Tell Themselves."
Yeah.
And in fact, we even got an email from Cecilia. I wanted to read her email. She says, on yesterday's show, there was a discussion on truth. She says, I find that this is a good rule to follow. Speak what is true. Speak what is kind. Do not speak what is true but unkind. Do not speak what is unkind but true. So be kind. So that's her take on it. I'm curious what your take is on this, the whole question about what it is that we're telling ourselves, the truth of it, the lie of it. How do you guys see that whole question?
For me personally, I'll just say the ego has a loud ass mouth sometimes. And
yes.
When I'm stuck, I could say, on autopilot for those seconds that I am, it definitely tells some lies. But as long as I'm conscious enough to wake up from it, this is how I did it a long time ago when I first got into this game. When I found myself, let's say I ran a negative scenario for 10 minutes straight. I watered a horrible seed for 10 daggone minutes. That's a lot of energy drops. I need to make up for it. I need to make up for it. And so what I would do is I would step out of that, because I like being a director. I would step out of that like I was acting. I just acted out that scene. Because if you're an actor and you act out a scene, you're engulfed in that character. You're feeling the emotions that character would be feeling. So I always wondered how actors don't manifest that horrible stuff into their life, because they're spending time in that headspace. And I realized it because when the director says cut, they step back out of it and they think, man, I just did a good job. So they just took 10 minutes worth of acting and negativity and blanketed it all with positive, because they know they just did great. And they know they're going to do great. And they have a room full of people around them that are all feeding them energy, staring at them, telling them they did great. And so I decided to do the same thing. When I catch myself running a negative scenario for too long, I step out of it like an actor and scene. Damn, that was a pretty good movie I just directed.
That's right.
Yeah.
I scripted that movie, I directed, I casted it. That was a great movie I just put together. I could probably make some money. But guess what? That's not what's happening right now. I'm good. I'm happy. I'm breathing. Then I take it there. So that's a good wake up from those lies.
It's a great point too, because the movies that do the best, if you see the, how on DVDs they used to have the little extra thing, the special features. Here was the making of the movie. Here's what happened. Mm-hmm. And the ones that were the really good movies, they always had a really tight cast, a cast that really got along well. They fed each other. They all worked together so beautifully. And whenever anything was going on, they were just having a blast. They turned it into this great big laugh fest. Now it could have been a horror movie, but it didn't matter. As when they were off camera, everything just turned into this joke fest.
That's how Avengers was.
Yeah.
And you see how good they did.
Well, I love you.
Real quick, Will Smith, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You guys know that show was a hit.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know this, but before every episode, Will Smith would run around the audience with a moringa. I forget what it's called. The thing you beat on your hand. It's got
tambourine.
Tambourine, yeah. He run around with a tambourine going crazy in the audience. They'd play music and everybody and they laugh and they get happy. Then they run on stage and say, action. Every episode he did that for all those years. And when I saw that, I was like, I saw it on the documentary that they did. I was like, holy crap, that's a major reason why that show was successful. They started off in a dance party with every filming they did.
I'm looking forward to the day when Will Smith actually is the headliner in a law of attraction film, a film that's about, in some way, the law of attraction.
It's going to happen.
That's going to happen.
I got him scheduled for September. Up here, he's scheduled for September. So you guys be ready for that.
All right.
All right, we're ready. We're totally ready for that. Okay, Will, you got that? We're ready.
Water that
completely. I want to love on what you said about stepping back and observation. When we observe from the eyes of Source, when we observe and remove ourselves, I think that is one of the smartest tools. I love that. I love everything you said about that. You watch your life as though that was a movie and you are the director. And I love that. That was the coolest thing, dude. That was awesome. When I tell myself a lie, or when myself tells me a lie, I look at him and say, I sit back and I say, is that true? Is that still true? No. And then I look at the victim syndrome that's telling me this, and I say, get your ass over there on your butthurt pad right now. No, get over there right there. Because that's, so what I'm saying is like Neo said, we are the director. I am the director. I'm saying, no, you can go over there and sit down, get your tissues for your issues. You're the one, you can go sit in your unworthiness. I'm going to be over here in my deservingness. Period.
Deb, you gotta let me compliment you for a second. She said something, everybody who's listening, you gotta understand she said something that was critical. She did not try to eradicate or completely get rid of that voice, because that would be a fool's errand. She knows it's not going nowhere. So she told it, go sit down. There's a difference. When you tell it to go sit down, you're acknowledging its existence. You got a place for it. You keep in its zone. You got control. When you're trying to get rid of it, but it's secretly inside of you, now you got this struggle going on.
Yeah.
And the only thing that's not going anywhere is that struggle. So accept it. Accept that it's there. Learn how to freaking deal with it. It's called your ego. It's called many different things. And you'll learn all the names.
Love it, man.
But that's critical. She said, go sit down. That means she's already ahead of the game, light years.
I think it's also an additional concept that goes with it. The additional concept that I think goes with it is, because I agree with you, I think that's an important thing to do that kind of acknowledgement, is if you want to shift, because that's really what we're talking about here, making a shift in our attention, in our focus, and we're finding that this old storyline is continuing to haunt us and continuing to just drag us back. Well, in order to make the shift, you have to replace the thing with something else. You have to find where are you going with it, because you can't just create a vacuum. If you just create a vacuum, the universe will fill it, and it'll fill it not necessarily with what you want, depending on what your vibration is. So if you just try to take away that ego thing that's in the way, but you don't replace it with what you want, the universe is going to shove something in there, and it may not be what you like. That's why I think you have to decide where you want to go instead. You have to make the conscious, deliberate choice of, okay, that's not the person I want to be. What is the person I want to be? What is that person like? What does it feel like to be that person? If I'm talking like that person, how does that person talk? If I'm thinking like that person, how does that person think? If I'm interacting with somebody else, how does that person interact? That's what you have to put in place of that old ego that was kind of in the way, doing the wrong stuff.
I love that. It's archetypal work is what you're talking about. And
Right.
I love
Exactly.
archetypal work. Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. And I love that because you're saying, okay, that's not my preference. What is my preference? And asking yourself that question. And I think that that's vital. One thing I want to say about the ego and about my sweet little ego that gets put in the corner in her butthurt pad is the appreciation factor. Because remember what I said, the ego is your friend. It is what has protected you all these years. And you can't know something till you know it, period. So stop tripping on yourself because it's ridiculous. Instead, I love it. Yes, I acknowledged it. Yes, I have it. Go sit down. We're not going to, why would we want to get rid of the very thing that has kept us safe all these years? It just might be that we now are going to respond to it differently. You see, that's all. And I love that, about just response.
I'm going to give you two things right here for that whole voice. The one is, as a cop, trusting my intuition, running down dark alleyways, turning a corner. You don't know where that person disappeared to. You don't know what they got. So the ego kept me safe. All the what if scenarios that it kept giving me. What if you turn the corner and he's standing there with the gun? All those what ifs kept me safe. So I love it to death. But on the same note, when I made the phone call to that person and they didn't answer, I thought to myself, are they mad at me? Did I do something wrong? Did I, but lo and behold, they were in the shower. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. Either way, like the book, The Untethered Soul, either way, that voice, you can always untether from it. You're the observer of that voice. You're the observer of the emotion caused by that voice. If you're observing it, you are separate from it, which means you can always separate and look at it. If you can do that more often and recognize its goods, recognize its bads, use it accordingly. That's how you work. It's like if you have a car that overheats. Yeah, it gets you from A to B, but sometimes you're gonna have to do something different. You might have to pull over some gas, some water in the radiator, or whatever the situation is. But you have to adjust accordingly to your circumstances, and don't just complain about it, because complaining is the same thing like that. How you gonna complain about the ego? It's like using the ego on the ego. It's triple negative. Nobody wants to do any of that. Adjust accordingly and work your way through it and win.
Oh my God.
It's true. Well, actually, I love the analogy you brought into
Yeah.
the car. The car analogy is perfect because, among other things, if you take care of the car keeps going. But if you keep complaining about how the car just keeps pulling to the right and I can't seem to get any gas mileage out of it, and that's all you do is just complain, the car's going to die. You got to service it. You got to actually take care of the issues. You got to treat them with respect, so you can treat the car with respect. If you treat the car with respect, guess what it does? It treats you with respect.
I BS you not, I had a 95 Eclipse. It looked like it was fresh out of the Fast and the Furious. It was in my garage. You can ask my dad. Something was wrong with it. I would drive it to the store and I would go out the store and try to turn it on. It would not start. And then we'd finally get it jump started. I'd take it back to the house and it would sit in the garage. And just the battery was always dead. We took it to a couple electrical guys. Nobody could figure out what was wrong with it. Sat in my car for 3 years. I started doing these mental exercises, appreciating having the car. If I wanted a Fast and Furious car, I would have to go buy it, then deal with its issues. Well, at least I already have it here. Now I just have to deal with the issues, but it's here. It's solid. I would feel its presence in the room. The garage feels a lot different if it's empty than if there's a car in front of you. Feel its presence. People who are meditative will know what I'm talking about when I say feel it in front of you, not with your hands, but with your energy. And no lie, BS you not, one day I went out there and fired it up. It just started. And I sold it 2 days later. But I started after years. No jump start, no calling my dad to come over and take
That's awesome.
stuff. I just went out there and was like, you know what? I've been watering this seed for a couple months now. Let me fire it up. It grew. Oh my goodness. And yeah, I got rid of it quickly. But that's how strong we are, how much power we have.
Absolutely. Cindy Chavez, who's the other co-host on Wednesday, told a story again recently that she had actually previously told a long time ago, where she had this favorite car. She even had the name for the car, and I can't remember what her pet name was for it. It was a Mercedes, I believe, and she loved that car, but it got to the point where it just wasn't running well anymore. And so it just sat in her driveway. And she kept thinking every single day about, how she really missed the fact that the car wasn't driving the way she wanted it to. And she kind of wished that it would, but she knew it wasn't going to. And she knew she had to do something with it, but she didn't really want to do anything with it. But on the other hand, she knew she had to do something. And finally, she reached the point where she said, okay, I'm getting rid of the car. I mean, it's been sitting there. It just sits there. I can't drive it anymore. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to, put an ad out. I'm going to do whatever it takes to let it go. And that same day, her husband comes up to her and says, hey, somebody left a note in your windshield. She says, what? You left a note in your windshield. So she read the note, and the note was from a guy who said, hi, I've been driving by your car every day for the last 2 years. And I love that car. I've been wanting a car exactly like that to work on and build up. I figured I'd just leave this note just to see, just in case, is there any chance you might want to sell the car? Now, that guy had been there for 2 years. She had been resisting for 2 years. And it wasn't until the day came where she finally let go of the resistance that he got the nerve to go leave the note in the windshield. So if you have any doubts about the idea that you could possibly be resisting the thing that you want, listen to that story, because that lays it out perfectly.
I don't know why. I don't know if it's a change of subject or not, but you just brought this to me. There's other frequencies we can't see. Obviously, there's plenty of frequencies we can't see out there. We just don't know because we can't see them. Now, because time is linear, there is no future. We've never tasted, touched, or felt anything in the future. And in the past, it's just previous moments, us reminiscing about them. Let's say a future where Walt has Will Smith on this screen.
Woo! I like that.
Now, it takes nothing. Now, that future exists on a different frequency than this current one. Okay? It exists. It's existing right now on a different frequency than this current one. It takes nothing for you to step into that frequency. It takes nothing for you to sit down in that Walt's chair and feel what he feels sitting across from Will Smith. It takes nothing.
Can I have Jim Carrey? If we're gonna play this, I want Jim Carrey. If y'all we're gonna play right now.
That's fine.
Seriously, I'm not. I have been saying this since I started Spirituality Gone Wild that I wanted Jim Carrey, and we want Will Smith. Those are two of them that were absolutes. So I'm going to join in here. This takes nothing for us to be in that space of Neo sitting right across from Will Smith right now with Walt and myself and Jim Carrey. In fact, we're going to have a foursome of fun.
I love it. Oh yeah, this is going to be good.
It's not super in the spirit of using what you can to help you manifest. It's not super hard. All Walt has to do is look at his screen and imagine that the black dude underneath him is Will Smith. And it kind of looks like this. And for me to replace Walt with Jim Carrey.
Well, you're going to be sitting next to him, right? I mean, I don't want to do it without you.
Well, yeah, but I mean, in the spirit of putting your toes in the sand at the
all right, okay.
Visualize. You got it perfect. Debbie's got Drew Carey and and Will Smith, and we could chop.
I got you.
This is going to be a crowded screen, but it's a good kind of crowded. I like it. Yeah, so
the energy's going to be insane.
And we just named two people, by the way.
It's a great kind of crowded.
It is. And we named two people who are, in my mind, two of the greatest advocates of law of attraction. I know Jim Carrey uses the term. I'm not sure if Will Smith does, but it's very clear that both of their lives are driven by it.
Yeah.
Very, very clear. Both.
I've never heard Will Smith use the term law of attraction.
I haven't either, no.
But he describes it to the T.
He does.
Well versed.
Yeah, he does.
Fit right into this conversation.
No doubt about it. So, all right, guys, this has been great. And we're looking forward to Neo's Summit tomorrow morning, Saturday, June 19. Be there. Going to be a good thing. Thank you very much, Debbie G. Thank you very much, Neo, for all the stuff that you contribute to the show. Thank you, especially to our podcast listeners everywhere. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.